Leslie, I am recording now. Thank you.
Thank you. And I don't know if you're on my computer, you're not the head speaker. And Mike is. And I don't know if that's true for other people, but if I
Oh, I see. So Mike is showing. Mike is showing as I'm speaking.
Yeah.
Got it. It says remove spotlight.
Yeah, so
Mike, do you mind being removed from the spotlight? Let me see what happens.
No, please.
Mike, this is the day. This is the perfect day. I mean, really, here's Mike. Here's me in all my glory. Now I've got Jan, I think, on there happily.
You're good now, I think. You're good.
Okay. Well, this is it, folks. With the best intentions, with the purest heart, with the most loving offering. Sometimes things don't go the way we planned. And really, in an amazing way, as I'm sitting here just reflecting for a second on all of this, how perfect, really. I would have talked about equanimity today, probably at some point anyway, because I think it's where we really want to establish and secure our practice. And then compassion, for me, is the second very most important aspect, because feeling for ourselves and feeling for each other. I think right now, as we are wending our way, if we could say, wending in this world, is what I think we most essentially need. So if you missed that funny story, it's just a cluster of a morning, and perfectly so, without regret, I have to say honestly. And so, you know, we learn, we have an opportunity, don't we, for deep learning in every moment, and even with a mistake, sometimes in some ways, really, maybe because of it. I have to say I'm feeling more deeply for the truth of that than likely I would have been. So I'm going to go see if I can't resurrect the quote that I had picked. It's the one that came to mind for me as I was had realized I'd made a critical error. And I'm going to repost it, see if we can all see it. And then let's take a look at it in practice together.
I have to say, this equanimity, I never even heard the word or knew what it was. So I'm kind of glad this happened, because now I've learned a new word, although I'm at your expense and your grip there. But what an amazing word. So much in it. And I'm so glad that it came up, because I just feel it all the time, that grip of burning, I have fucked up.
Yeah.
And then this word, when you read the meaning, sends you down this pathway combined with your practice to really equalize things. I don't know. It's just, I'm really thankful for it coming up today. So sorry about what happened. That sucks. But,
not really. You know, I'm going to say honestly, Leanne, I'm not really. You know, again, the potential for harm certainly is the part that sucks. But the embarrassment to me, actually, I have to say, it couldn't have happened with a better person. Honestly, because that person also has a practice. This could have gone way bad, I would say, in a way that could have caused harm to another, in a way that would have seriously sucked. And because I truly would not have wanted that. But it actually did occur with someone, by the way, who I have regard, respect, and love for, and who I know it's mutual. And of course, it became a non-issue, but that's not the point, right? That's not the primary point. The primary point is, what do I do with this for and with myself? How do I forgive myself? How do I recognize that things will happen? I have no authority or control or sovereignty or and how do I learn how to be with everything. And again, it was a compromised, certainly compromised situation. So let's see what and we're going to talk about equanimity at the end of the practice, but we're going to be breathing, cultivating equanimity, and then breathing compassion as we do in our Tonglen practice, but we're just going to do it with a little more ease, a little less structure today, and see what that does for us. But let's take a look at this writing. This writing comes from two sources, I have heard. It was on the wall, supposedly, of Mother Teresa's
cell.
Where she slept. But it was not originated by her. But that's what's famous about this phrase, is that it was on something that she looked at every day, something that came to mind for me when I was going, what's the right thing to do? Well, first get home, stabilize yourself, make sure that you're okay, and then everything that comes from that will be at least a contribution towards the end of suffering. And here's what it has to say. People are often unreasonable, illogical, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some false friends and some true enemies. Succeed anyway. If you are honest and frank, people may cheat you. Be honest and frank anyway. What you spend years building, someone could destroy overnight. Build anyway. I'm going to move this up so we can see it a little better. If you find serenity and happiness, they may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today, people will often forget tomorrow. Do good anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough. This is really the point of the Bodhisattva vow. It may never be enough. Give the world the best you have anyway. You see, in the final analysis, it is between you and your God, you and your truth, you and the reality. It was never about you and them or the other anyway. And then I want to read what I think Leanne saw there, which was the definition for equanimity as it relates more to a more contemplative practice. Neither a thought nor an emotion, which is very important to understand, not a thought nor an emotion. It is rather the steady, conscious realization of reality's impermanence or transience, the continual flow and change, the loss and gain, the fame and disrepute, just like happened for me this morning, of life. It is the ground for wisdom and freedom and the protector of compassion and love. And I love that line, the protector of compassion and love. While some may think of equanimity as dry neutrality or cool aloofness, mature equanimity produces a radiance and a warmth of being. So true. The Buddha described a mind filled with equanimity as, and by the way, this word was not added, but it's true, beautiful, unskillful, and beautiful was the translation of the opposing forces. Unskillful or beautiful. Beautiful, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. Imperturbable, unshakable, boundless. This is the truth of equanimity and compassion. So I'll take that down for now and stop this so that we can work together. And so here we are going to first rest in equanimity. It says equanimity is the requirement, the essential ground, required ground before compassion can arise. And I felt that so distinctly this morning, which was while I was in the, oh my God, what just happened? What am I going to do? I couldn't feel anything for myself or the other but distress. Just distress. How to fix it? What do I do? How do I get out of this? What if maybe there's a way to get it off? Maybe, and none of that was true. And by the way, the truth was none of it mattered. What really mattered was that I could find refuge within my own mind, body, being, true refuge there, out of the practice, so that whatever needed to happen, I could then entrust and allow the unfolding. So we're going to do it exactly like it's been instructed over these 2,600 years, by the way. We establish ourselves first with the intention for practice, and we establish the body first with that intention. We've already got the thought, that initial thought of intention that says, practice, I want to choose practice right now. But we let the initial thought be enough, and then we immediately wake down and embody it, right? You don't leave it up there as some good idea. It's not very helpful up there. We breathe it down into the body, all the way down to the bottoms of our feet. And I'm feeling my feet now, and actually they feel quite relieving, like, whew, that's right. There's always this ground. There's always this moment, and I'm feeling it right there with my feet. And so just feeling into the feet. And then I lower my eyes, I have to tell you honestly, because the visual field becomes slightly a distraction. And in the waking down, offering that intention so that it can be embodied, for me, it's easier if I clear the visual field. So you can lower or close the eye. And with just that, the aliveness, the vibrancy, the solidity, the felt sense of the body just pops, doesn't it? Like, wow, there it is. And we're just going to take a few nice deep in breaths. Do so at your own time and pace, breathing in big, deep. And then a good out breath. Settling a little more into the body, finding that directional, that out breath, that down breath. Do it again, breathing in and out. And then one more time. Breathing in and out. And really finding your way. Remember the words I've used that I could feel, the refuge of the body, the ground pole, the North Star, home base. Just feeling the sense of the whole body as it sits here. And feeling where within your own body you notice points, that's all that will happen initially, points of ease, points of steadiness, points of equanimity, points of lightness or openness. You're going to touch into those, as well as naturally into points of a little tightness or contraction or grip or maybe a weightedness, maybe a numbness. It doesn't matter. You're just going to be walking between these two experiences. Ah, here in the body, and oh, here in the body. And we're going to see if we can't begin to invite equanimity really right here by holding both the ah and the O equally. Little points of sensation felt somewhere in the whole of this body as we're holding the lens wide. We're not zeroing in on those contact points. We're holding that big sky mind just to the body. We're not going wider yet. And see if you can allow the breath to know the breath, says the sutta, in the whole body. If you were looking at a night sky, you would see points of dark and points of light, both a part of a whole, as are these easeful points of contact and these O. See if we can just soften and begin to stabilize the breath. You're just letting it flow naturally. And then remembering as we do this, we've begun our equanimity training right here, just being in this body. And then we invite the aspiration from the subtle body, from the very, very, very subtle body. The aspiration to contribute to the end of suffering. And to be a contribution to the good. And then we remember that we are capable through these teachings, through this practice, through the Sangha, through the teacher, we are capable of holding it all with equanimity and compassion. And may this practice be a benefit to all beings, everywhere without exception. Omitting none. Freeing us, awakening us, healing us all. And we continue to cultivate then steady mind, the essence of equanimity. One breath at a time. Seeing if we can know the breath completely. Recognizing that there is no need to zero in on any particular part of the body. That's been a mistake in teaching meditation for years, this idea that you have to zoom into a spot, and it actually creates distress rather than refuge. Just feeling the sense, moving from the thinking, planning, distressed, worried, fearful, exalted, whatever's happening up their mind. Moving into the body, feeling the felt sense. Breath by breath, that's all. Knowing the in-breath as the in-breath and the out-breath as the out-breath. And the key practice is the knowing. Knowing. Waking down. And abiding in the body then for several moments. Whatever else the mind is doing, come home to the body anyway, says the bone. Be present anyway. No big deal on the thinking anyway. And with those out breaths, we're going to see if we can't drop the mind and one's attention a little more deeply into the body. And so we follow the out breath down to its end, because the end of the out breath and the beginning of the in breath and the whole middle of the breath lives deep within. Stable. Calm. Still. Silent. Unmovable. We set the mind again and again. The mind will wander by its habit. It is just as important to know the wandering mind. We see it wander, we smile, because in the seeing, we are already awakened. But we don't leave it there. We commit ourselves again back to the body. Back to the breath. See if you can stay in contact with that out breath from the beginning to the middle and the end. Let it invite you in deeper and deeper. And it doesn't matter where the mind goes. We recognize, awaken, and joyfully return to the body and the breath. And then we begin to sense the stillness and silence that is not only at that point at the end of the out breath, but actually we're breathing it everywhere. And the mind begins to locate, to find, and then to rest right in that still and silent, vast space. But that comes in its time. We don't push or rush that. So if what's happening for you is I can touch into it just for that end of the breath, rest there. The fact that you can recognize a thought as a thought, a sensation as a sensation, and a breath as a breath is already the evidence that you are cultivating greater mindfulness, knowing the mind, and greater calm, steadiness, and ease of the thinking mind. It's already happening. softening the body, being watchful of this idea of efforting. That takes on a little too much I or me. We just make the commitment to the breath. And let the breath breathe you. Mind will be on the breath and the breath sensations. You will open into that still and silent space. And when needed, it will come back to the breath. And let it happen. You don't need to construct it or manage it. Equanimity. The objects are all still there. But we have remembered that we are not the object coming and going. No thought, no sensation, no sound. No emotion. And as we unhook and as we release from those old identities, those old habits, we continue to find that equanimous refuge. Stability, steadfastness, imperturbability, unshakable. Grounded in the groundlessness. But there is a quality, an attitude that is an important consideration, and that is the openness, the willingness. There is an essential trust in the unfolding. And there is the commitment. Present and here. Abiding breath by breath. And then I'd like you to call to mind, with intention, a mistake, an error, a failure, fuck up, whatever you call it, committed by you. And see if we can maintain the resting in that stillness, that silence, while we hold in awareness the reality, the experience as best we can pixelate it of that mistake. Call it to mind, breathe it into the body, wake down, see what happens there. But remember, thoughts are thoughts. Sensations are sensations. Not me, not mine, not I, not even this mistake. Doesn't mean it didn't happen. And then I'd like you to reflect on your concern or the fear that you had with the mistake. What was really happening? That you would lose something, that you would lose an image, you would lose a reputation, you would lose the relationship, you might lose wanting things to be a certain way. And see if you can't stay in equanimity as you reflect on those concerns, those worries or fears. Might this cause harm? Might this have an impact that was unintended. Might it be misunderstood? Or whatever's true. So reflecting on the moment, the mistake, reflecting on the way it feels in the body, reflecting on any particular thoughts. It will be like this, it might be like that, it might not do this, it might not do that. Just noticing those thoughts, those sensations, those feelings. Resting back at the end of each out breath in that still and silent space. And then as we rest with the reality as best we can see it, know it, what we begin to recognize is that the event was based on really infinite causes and conditions. And we're just going to let those float up and pass into and out of awareness. There's no analyzing these at all. They just happen to come. I just realized for myself, oh, having the phone in bed this morning was a contributor. And then I'd like you to begin with all of that floating in and out of awareness. There's no grabbing, holding, it's just coming and going. I'd like you to begin to breathe right to the heart space. And as you breathe in, I want you to bring as much feeling of compassion, of kindness, of understanding for yourself as you can with that in-breath. Breathing in. Really offering yourself as best you can these blessings of self-compassion. Feeling for your own distress, feeling for your own suffering, feeling for any confusion or regret. Inviting that compassion, that felt sense. This is most important. A quality of receptivity, of openness. Again, it may come in the form of a light or an image. In the Tibetan, we know it comes with that sort of white steam washing us, washing over us. For me, it always comes in the form of a kind of radiant light entering my own heart space and then the whole of my body. Just breathing it in. That's the felt sense. And then we can offer with intention any phrases that are helpful. May you be free from this distress. See what comes for you. Words are not valuable or important for everyone. It may not come in that form. It might just be breathing in space, creating space and room for everything, including this mistake. We can take our hands, as we know, place the hand in our own heart space, somewhere near our own physical heart or somewhere in the body where we're feeling that tenderness, that vulnerability, that shaky, queasy tenderness. See if you can stay softened in the body. Breathe right in through those tender spots. May I be forgiven. May this cause least harm. May we be able to use everything on the path, including this, for understanding, greater clarity, greater compassion and wisdom. Even this mistake, not to be gotten rid of. Breathing it in, letting it transmute through the heart into the whole of the body, softening the body so it can be receptive. Offering whatever is needed. And I'm realizing as I'm here just breathing for myself, letting this sink into my own heart and in my own belly, radiating through the entire breathscape, I'm realizing that this thing I'm calling a mistake is actually in amazing ways a blessing. That it is an opportunity even now to feel both for myself in this vulnerability, in this tenderness, in this concern or fear, and then for others who have made mistakes, others who have something's happened that could have been harming or confusing. And I realize also as I'm breathing that I often don't feel this for myself in a way that is sufficient, because then I can be very judgmental, very condemning of not only myself, but others and their mistakes. And I can feel the seed from where that comes, this rejecting place within me, the closed, contracted place within me. I'm continuing to breathe in that warmth, to breathe in that self-compassion, those self-blessings, continuing to place my hand in ways that acknowledge the vulnerability, the tenderness, the pain, the fear, the distress that may be there. Holding that Just letting it be. I'm not trying to get rid of anything. Don't you either. And if you notice you get a little unstable, if the mind begins to wobble, if it stops being that immovable, ever-present, groundless ground, we come back to the breath. We begin again. I can hold this for now, but there may be a moment where we can't. And that's also a mindful truth, a good reality to check in on. And then we stabilize ourselves. We offer ourselves the guardrails just as we need them again and again. And maybe there's a moment where you can only breathe in 1/2 breath and then back to the breath to stabilize. Continuing to breathe in and offer yourself compassion, mercy, grace, forgiveness, whatever is needed. Maybe simply this time understanding. And then on the out breath, I want us to move beyond our own bodies, our own circumstance, our own ideas about what's happened now. Breathing in for oneself continuously, but we're going to begin to breathe a compassionate breath out for those who might have been impacted by the mistake. Allowing forgiveness and mercy, compassion for myself, feeling for the truth of the distress. And as I breathe out, feeling that genuine feeling of the wish that there be no distress for the other. Those others who may have been impacted by the mistake. And so we're breathing in compassion for oneself, and we're breathing out compassion for all those who may have been impacted by the mistake. But I'd start one person at a time. If it's a group, don't just glom the group in there. This was just one person right now, so. And I'm picturing that person. It brings a kind of smile to my face, and I'm sending that wish. May there be no harm. And I mean at every level. May there be no harm mentally, may there be no harm physically. And you do this as long as it feels useful. And I'm feeling pretty complete. I'm just smiling. It feels like a somewhat funny misunderstanding. I already know the other didn't take it the wrong way, so that's helpful. And then may I expand this feeling beyond my mistake, this feeling of beyond the feeling of other and their impact. May I open the heart gates even wider now to feel more for all those who have made a mistake and had concerns about the harm it may have caused others. May all those just like me who sent the wrong thing, who sent the accidental thing, who said the wrong thing, who right, made a mistake. May I feel for them all. And the equanimity will keep us from tumbling over for ourselves and our own self-pity or our own indifference. It can go either way. And not tumbling over into the other, feeling like we're bad or this is a permanent blemish, or that the other will have thoughts of, whatever we do with the other, that the other will be permanently harmed or damaged. The equanimity keeps us from falling, sustains us here on the middle path, holding both, breathing in for oneself and out for the other. Compassionate breath. All those just like me who've made this mistake, and all those just like the other who have been the recipient. Can we begin to expand and open the heart wide to feel for us all? We've all been both. We've made the mistake and we've been the recipient of the mistake. So breathing in and breathing out, exchanging oneself for another so that there is no self or other. There is just the truth of compassion. Warming, creating space, energizing the good heart, which we're now simply breathing in and out of for us all. We've taken that still and silent open space and infused it with this enlivened heart. And for the last few moments of the practice, we're simply going to sit back a little. We're letting go of any one moment, any one person, letting go of this idea of the self, resting back in that compassionate space, just breathing it in and out. May we all be happy. May we all be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May we all have ease and well-being. May we remember the good heart, the truth of the path. May we offer ourselves in each moment again and again. Until all beings are free. So taking it a little bit slow for a moment, just feeling back into the body, seeing if we can't begin to include this whole body once again, infusing it with those blessings, with those feelings, those this known quality of compassion. And then just offering yourself gentle movement, whatever feels right and good for you and your body. So that's the beauty, isn't it? That's the beauty of this life. We can use everything, even those major moments like, oof, I don't know, that didn't go so well. I shouldn't have said, done, sent, whatever. I have to say, as I was reflecting just on this thing this morning, I realized why this is a little easier for me this morning than other moments. And I have to recognize, remember when we were reflecting on what are the causes and conditions of this situation, I realized that because I had not intended it at all and it was an accident, it wasn't words written, to cause harm or anything, it was easier. I didn't have as much attachment to the event. However, there are moments, aren't there, where we are the ones. We did say it. We did write it. We did intend to send it. We were caught, weren't we, in the moment, in the grip. And I have to say, I know those moments as well, and I do know them. to be slightly more challenging. Why? Because we identify more strongly with our words, with our thoughts, with our opinions, and with our intentioned, sometimes not so intentioned, but the actions that come from it. So this was a little easier because it was a complete just accident, but it could have, regardless, caused harm in a way that would have been, I would have felt judgmental and wrong and bad for the harm that was caused. And this is where our work continually is. And without that equanimity, without that stable mind, I have to say, really feeling compassion, I think is a grafted on or pasted on. It's not really felt in a way that I think compassion by its true nature just is. Whether you feel it as a warmth or just an energy, I'd be curious actually to know, how do you experience compassion? Not what you think about it, but how do you know compassion in your own direct experience? What happens for you that goes, this is how I know compassion? Both the truth of suffering, that is the activator for compassion, and this natural response, the natural wish that it not cause harm, the natural, when that happens for you, how do you know that in your own mind and body? And I'd love to hear from you about that.
Me like you.
Me like you. Andy, Andy wrote, I don't know if everybody can see this. I'm going to check my email, messenger and text. Maybe I got something juicy from Diana. At 65, I don't know if we would say juicy. But we could say inappropriate. Yes, we could do that. Juicy might be a push, but yeah, don't look too hard because, yeah, I don't think it would go quite the way you imagined. You like me. So that thought, really, I felt it too, Mike. Like it works in all directions. It isn't even a me, you anymore. It all dissolves, really, doesn't it, when we're really resting in compassion. And for me, it feels a little like a warmth or but it feels vibrant, I have to say. Yeah, there's an energy in it. Does anybody notice this? I don't even know the right words. Vibrant, there's a word for this. Pulsing, maybe. I don't think I'm onto it, but energetic for sure. That when I'm resting just in awareness, by the way, and just in equanimity, there is a deepened stillness in it. But with compassion, you can feel an energetic sense, radiance, someone just said. Jeanette, I just saw something here from Jeanette. Good morning, Jeanette. Let me see what Jeanette was saying. A breaking open, right? Not so contracted, thank you. Warmth, open, clear. There is an energy in it, though. It's not a nothing. And it can be felt. And I want us to watch for the feeling and to invite it, really, especially as we are reflecting, as we begin on our own, our practice. And what we do with the practice, I think, often is hold up some very imaginary, idealized idea about the practice. And then we hold this idea of the self over, and we separate these things in a way that actually tips us. Though we hold the ideal for the practice, we never quite reach the ideal, and then we feel shame or diminished or messed up or whatever, and we begin to identify with that failed self, and then we try to right the ship. Really, there is no separation between the practice and you. It's not like this. It's actually completely this. And in that truth, then everything becomes a part of the precious possibility, doesn't it? I was reflecting, let's move beyond one moment. I was reflecting on things I had said in conversations with others, for example, about others. And it was political, but it doesn't matter. It could be anything, right? It could be your family, it could be a friend, it could be someone you don't like, it could be a neighbor. This happened to be a political. And I was reflecting on a few of the things I'd said that were harsh, or that were judgmental, or that were unkind, in that contracted. And I had really been making a commitment to myself. And again, this is simply an aspiration to see if I could feel for the perceived other, this other political group, or this other, and it really wasn't a group, it was, but still, could I feel for what would be, if that were me, what must I be feeling that I could take an action like that, or I could cause harm like that, or I could, and really, I have to say, it was heartbreaking, really, when I went, how much pain or fear or distress would someone need to be in to act in this way? Really, I could cry. And by the way, I also recognized that I could be capable of harm myself in my moments of fear, in my moments of pain, and that I still am. Right, with all the years of practice, that there's still the moment where something, fear comes into me, or a disqualifying statement, or a blaming statement, or an attack, or whatever. It doesn't really matter. The trigger does it, where I can still get grab into these self-clinging thought elements, and that it's always essentially out of fear. Always out of fear. The fear of losing something, the fear of being acknowledged, the fear of being right, the fear of not right, the fear that something will be taken, that I won't get something essential. And I think when we can begin at the base, that human brainstemmed base, we can grow in both understanding, insight, and ultimately right view, knowing that we are, as Mike says, you just like me, are capable both of contracting, but also awakening in the midst of it. And these are two essential truths of our human nature, not one. And look at how easy it is to get tipped into believing what is wrong is always wrong, forever wrong, never to be otherwise. But there is the reality also that in every moment, in any moment, there is the possibility for awakening in it. And there was a beautiful story. I don't know how many times I've told it, but I know I have. And so I'll tell it briefly and then we'll talk for a few more minutes. We're almost out of time. But the story of Angulimala, if you don't know the story. And Angulimala was a murderer. And not only was Angulimala a murderer, he was a vicious murderer. And not only a vicious murderer, but he would cut the fingers off of the victims. And he made a necklace of the fingers that he would wear as a proudful thing. And he came across the Buddha, and he was trying to kill the Buddha and catch the Buddha. And of course, the Buddha, being skillful and also compassionate, would just stay out of reach of Angulimala. And Angulimala got frustrated because he couldn't catch him. And so he screamed out to the Buddha, "Stop!" Buddha, I don't think he said Buddha, Gautama, Shakyamuni. And the Buddha stopped. And he turned around and he said, "No, Angulimala, it is you who needs to stop. Not me. You are the master of your own mind. It is you who needs to stop." And I think about this when I'm thinking angry, faced, aggressive thoughts for the other. No, Diana, it is you who needs to stop. No one else. And in this, with compassion, we can offer that to ourselves, can't we? Then, without recrimination, without self-hatred or self-loathing, without judgments. And it is there that we are transformed. It is there as we really recognize the quality of our own moving, not wanting mind, and say to ourselves, "It's okay, dear one, you can stop. We don't have to keep this going. Let's put it down." And so I've been practicing putting this down for all the times I have seen my brothers and sisters, truly my brothers and sisters, literally, who have a different politic than me, have a different perspective than me, have a different life view than me, have a different way of being generous or not being generous, or patient or not patient, right? These ideas of these differences. Wait a minute. Can I stop right then and recognize the truth of my own vulnerability, my own pain, and my own fear? And I believe we can. I know we can. Let me just check chat one more time. I want to say before we go, we're very close to having to end. Next Saturday will be our mindful half day or all day. I've decided to just see who's signing up for what, and then make decisions about whether we have to divide everyone into a half day or not. We can have 20 people at Quest Haven at any one time. I do know there's some people who can only do half day. I know there's some people who wanted to do the whole day. I think let's just get a scope of that and then decide if we have to divide or not divide. I'm not sure that we will need to divide. I do know that there are many people, and I want to be respectful and regarding of that, who do not feel comfortable being out at all. And we respect that completely. I understand that we will be outside the whole time except for restroom. We will be wearing masks. We will be at least 6 feet apart. I do believe we were going to have to be somewhat careful about the guided practices. I think it will be challenging to hear based on where I think we're going to be. But a day in primarily silence and stillness will not be objectionable for me out at this most beautiful, most sacred, most beloved space at Quest Haven. So just know, I don't know to what extent guidance will be very easy for us, because I think we're going to have to be spaced. We'll be up near the labyrinth very likely, so that we can access the academy for the restrooms. So we will have those that available to us. But just give us some idea. There is information up on the website. We will be doing this from 9 to 4:15 for those who will be able to join us directly. And let's just get an idea of who wants to do it. There's a sign up there. I've put the link at the beginning of the chat. So for those of you asking, go to the beginning of the chat. You'll see a link there. It's encinitasmindfulness.org at retreat-registration. Let's see who wants to take advantage of that. Yep. Half day is very appropriate. And I know there are many people who can do a half day, either morning from 9 to 12:15 or from 1 to 4:15. Yep. Thank you for letting me know. If you're here and you know already, that would be great. If we have more people doing half days, then our full day people will not be any problem at all. And I was guessing that for a lot of people, because it is also close to Thanksgiving, may need time on part of that Saturday for those kinds of activities as well. Thank you. If you know if you're going to come in the morning or the afternoon, will you also let me know? That way I'll make sure that we don't get overloaded on one side or another. And again, I'm not expecting that we're going to go over the 20 that Quest Haven is comfortable with us having on the grounds at any one time. If you're going to be leaving half day, you will likely not need a lunch unless you're planning to just stay to enjoy lunch on those beautiful grounds. And again, feel free to do that as well. This is probably my biggest chance to talk to anybody about this. So if you have any questions, please feel free to let one of us know. Quest Haven, I'm very grateful to them for their willingness to let us be there and share that beautiful space with them again. I think it's going to be a beautiful day. As I understand, next week, it's supposed to be very wonderful in the 70s. Yes, we are going to be taking mindful walks, mindful movement. Liz is going to be there, which I'm really excited about. Not everybody should be hiking, and maybe we do a hike and mindful yoga. Bit depending, but Liz will be there and ready to do that. We'll figure that out later once we get a better feel for someone. And yes, just know that we will be thinking of you. I was hoping to do Zoom, but actually my son's assessment of the situation is that that will be complicated and not very fruitful for the Zoom participants. So I'm not sure that's going to really turn out to be as beneficial as I had wanted or hoped that it would be. But of course, we will continue Zoom in all other ways and areas. Just let me know. I appreciate that. Let's sit together for just another moment. We always end with the dedication, no matter what, no matter how busy, no matter the time. We have to gather ourselves so that we can direct all the benefits from that place of equanimity. So we come back to the body, back to the breath. Establish that unmoving mind. It is not I who needs to stop, says the Buddha. It is you, Angulimala. we guard and protect our own minds, and so protect the whole of the world. May we offer these blessings, the benefits, and all merits of this practice and all of our practice throughout these many years, throughout all time. May we offer this to the end of suffering, true end, and the realization of happiness and freedom. May we breathe in for ourselves. May we breathe out that radiance, that openness, that breaking open, that calm, that ease, that love, that deep understanding. May we breathe it out for all beings. May we all have happiness, ease, peace, and well-being. May there be peace within. And from that, breathe out peace to all. And may our practice today contribute. So be it. Thank you all so much. Mike, so good to see you always. Courtney, thank you for dropping in from far away when you do. I know that takes a little extra energy and effort, and I'm always grateful for that. Seth and Satya also, thank you. I think our times are a little different too, so that makes it a little extra. I appreciate all of you deeply. Much love to you and blessings. Enjoy this very beautiful, beautiful day.
Cold.
See you all. Hope to see you next week. For those of you who it works for, just let us know. We'll figure it out. I can't wait. Looking for time there. All right, I will leave the meeting on for just a moment. I'm going to start putting my shoes on for a hike. So I'm going to sign off. Good to see you all. But chat will be on if you want to let me know that you're going to be there or that you have questions. Bye. And oh, Leslie in Israel, good to see you as well.